Flash Wolves that actually beat SKT last week.
Well, I also contest that a tiny bit because Bengi is coming in, and Blink was a big performer for them today in both of their games for SKT. The Lee Sin that he played, honestly, fantastic. And he got SKT off the ground in both their games and helped the snowball. So with Bengi in the lineup, it's a little bit more of an enigma there of exactly what's going to happen, but there might be a little more Faker focus.
Well, it makes perfect sense again to play Bengi, given that SKT have already clinched first. We are into Champion Select though, as Karma and Zara have been banned away on the blue side from Flash Wolves. SKT respecting the power of Alistar. Wolf will not get to see his skin this game. And that one's banned away along with Nidalee out of the jungle away from Karsa.
Wolf may not get to see his skin, but he also won't see SwordArt using his skin, beating him with it, which is something that definitely gets to Wolf. So a stock standard ban, I will say now, of the Alistar. AD carries, you might even look towards Caitlyn, but Syndra still stands out like it needs to be dealt with.
Rise ban there as well from Flash Wolves. Syndra is the last ban, fairly predictably from SK Telecom, but Maple has played Aurelion Sol before, I believe, this tournament already. It is up and ready, but they actually first picked Caitlyn, a pick that is rising heavily in the World Championships.
And that's the reason I brought the Caitlyn up before as well. NL has played the champion. It's the better version, perhaps, of the Jinx that is running around with a bit less scaling and a higher strategy behind it.
And you can't let them get a very oppressive lane. I would assume with the Karma and Zyra being banned out, you take one of the last range supports alongside Bard for the Nami. And then that's going to be Bengi on the Olaf here.
Interesting. Quite a lot of junglers open, I suppose, with just the Nidalee banned away, but Bengi takes one that's been relatively popular. It's not the most aggressive jungler. His Elise was open, but he opts not to take it here. We'll see what Karsa takes now that he kind of knows a bit more about his jungle matchup. And it's always been the case. It's actually already locked in Lee Sin by the looks of things.
Yeah.
Karsa Maple have been such a big story for this team. And we'll see with Lee Sin if they can get aggressive and play around Faker, where they do expect Bengi to be as well.
I'm actually very surprised that we didn't see the Poppy ban, honestly, from SKT. It's one of the easiest ways for teams that have weak top laners in comparison to the rest of their team to just pick the Poppy, be a super tank, be as efficient as possible even if you lose lane, and still consistently be relevant. The fact that MMD is getting this after such a sick performance in his previous games on it is very surprising.
And the thing you can bank on there is that, sure, the Poppy may not necessarily win the lane, but it will always be relevant. And so that's why it's just such an annoying pick to have in the hands of any top laner, be them on the top end of the spectrum or the bottom. But that usually means that Duke could get the better of the matchup regardless of what he picks. And SKT, we've seen them actually go around certain matchups before. We've seen them play Syndra into Vladimir and have the Syndra roam and avoid the Vladimir. We've seen them actually circumvent problems like that. So they may do that again with these matchups that you can't necessarily crush.
I wouldn't be surprised if they go back to something like the Jace, or you could just outright win the lane. Again, it depends on what the strategies are going to be for SKT. The Jace can actually group up, poke people out. We've seen this consistently today from SKT, or if he's hovering and locking in this Trundle, it's just to bully him out.
Well, there is the Trundle, and Bang is going to get Ezreal one more time. I feel like I'm not going to get to say that many more times in the World Championship because he is phenomenal on the pick. SKT, though, saving mid lane counter picks, so saying, you know what, Maple, if you want to play Aurelion Sol, we do have something prepared for you, so we'll see if they do want to take it. It dropped through our last game, actually, with Cloud9 and Aimee. We'll see how Flash Wolves finish off this draft with a pretty strong start to it already.
Yeah, waiting for their mid support. Aurelion Sol, you'd say, is likely to be locked in. Very important champion. Enables a lot of Flash Wolves' early play, being able to rotate around the map. It doesn't really matter what Faker plays. The Syndra's not there, so you can't stun him from long range, and he'll always be able to out-wave clear you, and that's the real problem.
Funny to see this man coming back, though. 10 seconds for Flash Wolves to decide what they actually want to do with their draft. You can see Maple is kind of picking between maybe a couple different champions. It does seem like SwordArt has settled on the most obvious support in the situation, which will be Braum to help block the Nami, although landing phase obviously will be in favor of SK Telecom. Viktor is there as well for Maple. He says, Faker, I saw your Viktor earlier. I am going to take it away from you. Maple, a strong player in his own right. Viktor's going to be fine there as well. We'll see what Faker has prepared as his counter pick.
And if the Viktor gets off the ground alongside Karsa on the Lee Sin, that could be a big problem for SKT, but we have to see what their last pick is here for Faker in the mid lane. Because right now their composition, it's a lot about running forward and then hiding back. I assume it's the Cassiopeia into it, with the Rise being banned out as well as the Syndra.
I mean, last time Bengi was in and there was a Cassiopeia, things got very, very bad for their opponent. Well, we'll see what SKT do have prepared here.
Well, they do lack hard engage, so Lissandra would be the champion to pick up if they wanted to actually solve that problem. Everything else is kind of soft engage.
Yeah, something complementary will still work. And so it does make sense if they're trying to round out that team composition, work around Faker. Hit a pillar, hit a Nami bubble, and someone's knocked up. You can follow with Lissandra very easily.
And there is the last pick for SK Telecom. Pretty straightforward. Nice drafting there for both sides. I feel like they kind of got what they want on either side. Bottom lane looks decent for Flashwolves, so the SKT kind of split the advantage with Nami there versus Braum, although Caitlyn should have an advantage over Ezreal. MMD is going to do what he always does, which is sack top lane and try not to fall too far behind. And Karsa and Maple want to team up, get aggressive. Bengi and Faker likely look to do the same.
Yeah, you do have to be careful as the Poppy up against the Trundle, though. It's one of the only matchups that will beat you up early, and then even in the late game, it does have quite a bit of an advantage over you in the one-on-one. So if Duke starts getting his split push on, and the rest of SKT go for sieges and possibly hard engages, then that could be a problem, but the wave clear from Flashwolves with the Viktor would stop a lot of that.
Yeah, also the beauty of the Trundle being it makes the tank no longer as tanky, and if MMD is going to be the sole contributor to that tankiness on the Flashwolves side, it can be completely removed.
Well, we've seen Duke, again, loves his 1v1 top lane matchups. There's such a great duelist, there's such a great carry top laner. Looks like both sides kind of got what they want here. Don't forget to use your hashtags as we move out into Summoner's Rift for potentially the final time of the group stage, actually. It is the last day, of course, of groups. Hashtag Flashwolves win if you think we'll get a tiebreaker and maybe see an LMS team push their way through. And I have a funny feeling hashtag SKT win is going to be a lot more popular than it normally is here in North America. Because like you said earlier, Zirene, so have a sudden conversion of SK Telecom fans.
Yep. If you want Cloud9 through immediately, then it's the SKT win. But I will say SKT, you know they're going to try hard in this game because SKT, as an organization, as this set of players, you don't have many thorns in your side. But the Flashwolves have been a thorn in their side for a very long time. MSI, same story, couldn't get a win over them. And they haven't yet in Worlds, or they haven't ever.
This is just about principle now. SKT have a
Just
point
pride.
to prove. There's definitely pride involved. They've come in today and absolutely dismantled everybody within the group. This is the last remaining obstacle to have the perfect week.
We saw the Rocks Tigers struggle in their group and just get over the line. We saw Samsung Galaxy dominate in week 2 and push through to a 5-1 record. You don't want to be the #1 Korean seed that looks a little weaker. They're a tournament favorite. They're the defending champions. They want to look strong moving into quarterfinals. A win over Flashwolves here would certainly be part of that statement.
Yeah, they're still trying to gain back some momentum from the end of the LCK season for them because Rocks ended up coming in as the #1 LCK seed, and SKT off of points came in, and now it's looking up and up. They have that tournament SKT buff, but Flashwolves on the other side. They are fighting with the whole LMS behind them right now because they are the only ones left from the LMS region, and this is potentially their last game. If they lose it, they are out. If they win, they are still in control of their destiny, so you know they're also going to try everything.
First blood, GG.
Thanks, that's feel pretty good, like we mentioned. Oh, and I'll get to him back. Pretty standard stuff. No one got crazy deep wards involved, so we'll have a very quiet start to our standard lanes. See what Bang & Wolf can get done 2v2, and Faker with his counter pick. Probably expecting to not get too much pressure, but will affect the side lanes. Does have that teleport. Maple smartly with the cleanse, but Maple loves to play up in his lane, especially when he thinks his jungler might be behind him.
Yeah, we do still have reliable wave clear in that middle lane. Bottom is probably where most of the action will start to break out because Ezreal and Nami, quite dangerous.
And this is really interesting from Faker. He takes the Q level 1, keeps shoving the wave. Viktor takes Q as well, so Maple doesn't have wave clear. Faker immediately pushes that wave up, and he puts a ward at the Raptors.
You might be able to spot Karsa here as well, so really good scouting report here from SK Telecom. Karsa on that red buff. Not sure how much early vision they got. There aren't deep wards, I believe, from level 1. So this would be a good little spot potentially onto the Lee Sin. Karsa's got red. He looks for a gank towards the mid side. Faker is going to spot him here. Knows he's now going top side of the jungle, or at least that's the most likely thing.
Yeah, so by skipping the Raptors, it's quite abundantly clear that he's doing a cheat clear, which would mean going towards Scuttle Crab after the Wolves, maybe the Gromp beforehand, but to get control on the top side of the map so there's no river ganks.
What this also does is it allows the bottom lane of Bang and Wolf to just go in, use their advantage of having the double range lane and the sustain, and just constantly trade, because you know the Lee Sin is on that top side.
That's good. You can see the trade-off that happens. Duke early wards to know that nobody's going to come up and help. Because they saw the Lee Sin skip the Raptor camp, has to be top side. Better safe than sorry, and he is pushing in, trying to keep that Poppy down. If he stops and backs away to respect, then he'll lose control of what he's already built for himself.
See, Bang and Wolf still playing aggressively here. NL, plenty of range, so should be able to farm and trade safely. Karsa here gonna get aggressive on the Scuttle Crab finally. Did clear out most of that left-hand side jungle. Gonna leave the blue up for Maple, perhaps, after he's finished that Rift Scuttler.
Yeah, they actually have no idea where Bengi is right now, where the Olaf is. So he's getting the Scuttle to keep his top side safe, because that could be a potential snowball lane in favor of Duke. So picking that up, and now he's on the blue at the moment. So if Karsa takes the blue, or if he hands it off, it'll actually give away his position once again and give the bottom lane pressure in favor of SKT. So yeah, as soon as Maple starts running that direction, gets it handed off to him, Bengi knows I can invade, and that the bottom lane is safe.
And conveniently, as he invades, the ward that was going to spot him dies. So things could not have been timed better for SKT's jungle. That means he has a lot of pressure. Faker, you need to calm down.
That was keen.
That was a...
Takes a turret shot, no big deal. Just Faker things. Oh, gravity field down. That's actually really nice. Maple doesn't go back in. Bengi actually was looking to pressure mid. I think he's just covering because he knows Faker's like, yep, made a bit of an oopsie.
Yeah, Faker made a teleport though, so trading very heavily is not that big of an issue for him. But he comes back with a Negatron cloak, and it looks like he's just gonna walk it out.
And that wasn't even trading. He actually just checked if his E button works and went under the turret and tanked it for no reason.
No button check before. He's like, man, I could have checked. Dang, we're still dueling here. Looks like Duke, as expected, is winning that top side, but not too far ahead in CS, so MMD doing a nice job keeping up in the lane.
Yep, they just saw Lee Sin, they just saw Karsa on that ward that's by the Raptors, so you can constantly see SKT play off of whenever they see the jungler, the opposite side of the map goes aggressive, and then the side that he's on starts playing a little bit more passive, starts boarding up.
Very nice.
Double bubble.
NL gets hit there as well, as you can see. The fans behind SK Telecom, all of a sudden, they seem to have grown.
I wonder why.
Maple with the blue buff though. Did get that from the early Lee Sin donation. Faker will correct his mistake after hitting the E button accidentally, I have to think. And we'll just clear this out. But again, here's Lissandra, should be plenty safe. Both top laners have teleported up as well. We've got the Barmy Cinder right now for MMZ versus double longsword boots for Duke. So nice and aggressive, looking for the early Tiamat, I assume.
That's correct. Wants to go the Ravenous Hydra build, you would imagine outscales Poppy quite significantly in split pushing, and we'll have a lot of late game presence in that split pushing respect. The real difference now lies between junglers because Bengi is hard farming. You contrast that with Karsa, not the same.
He's 6 now as well, is Bengi. He stole away the Raptor, but he's going to have to move in to protect Faker.
It's a higher level than Faker.
Look for the all-in. Yeah, Faker, again, a bit of that oopsie. Going to cost him a bit. Bengi going to get tagged here, though. Has the ultimate ready, and they know he's got Ghost up, although at least they suspect he does. Kind of tough to kill the Olaf, so he's just going to back away. Faker's going to teleport down. Maple's going to gravity field him, and Faker's going to take some free damage. But Maple with no ulti, no real threat there for the Lissandra.
Yeah, so it's safe to teleport in. Of course, both top laners have used their teleport. Most of the focus on Summoner's Rift will be around Drakes or ganks, if anything. And Lissandra's lane now being 6 is probably the one that you would expect Bengi would look towards. So very easy to work around that. Perhaps they blow the cleanse from Maple. Suddenly a lot easier to do it.
Wolf actually sniffing around mid as well, but doesn't quite find anything.
And immediately, Wolf puts down those wards in the jungle. They spot the Lee Sin. Duke goes up to the top side, wards that as well, and now they have complete knowledge of where the Lee Sin is, and you can see immediately SKT, Bengi, Faker, group up. Now they're trying to make a top play onto MMD.
Actually, Wolf and NL going to catch each other there. Good little bit of damage from the Nami. As SwordArt did leave to, I think, get some vision down. Braum's going to get stolen away here. Wolf's Spirit is going to spot him. Bengi has to back away from that play, so nice intelligent smite from Karsa, kind of knowing that Bengi is constantly in and around his jungle. Takes the crab though, so really SKT, you can kind of see how a lot of their early leads get built here. They're not massively winning lane at any stage. In fact, it's even, you can see us really across the lanes. It's just how intelligent their vision is, and with maybe the exception of Bengi, who has been the beneficiary of all this, it's just smart player in SKT, constantly getting information and then playing intelligently with it.
And the information is in the areas that they need to be. So top side and bottom side has certain wards in areas that they need to either stay alive or to find their opposition. To contrast that with Flash Wolves, they do still have pink wards placed, but it's not as efficient, it's more defensive.
Good little charge there from MMD. Gets himself kind of out from under Duke, although he's still going. Trundle, no real reason to stop there. Good bubble again. Up there. Now nice jump from SwordArt. puts up the door and stops the incoming damage, but even Caitlyn, with all her lane prowess, is going to struggle with the range first melee support situation. Bang & Wolf playing a very nice laning phase so far.
Yeah, Wolf has those accuracy on point at the moment, barely missing bubbles, and also getting bubbles off when SwordArt's not there to block it with the door.
It's actually really interesting because it comes down to you're almost damaging his mana in a way, because every time you hit NL, SwordArt will blow a W and an E, and Wolf, he has the mana regen support item, and it just costs the Aqua Prison. So he's just constantly trying to damage SwordArt's mana so he can't eventually do that. So as long as he's accurate, it gets worse and worse for the Flash Wolves bottom lane.
See Bang again, actually commits the ultimate just to shove the wave a little faster. Does have a tier Carl and a Doran's versus the Berserker Greaves for NL, so actually building a farm lane now as Faker will get donated that blue buff.
And that's the big thing. It's a Caitlyn lane that isn't actually pushing the opposition under the turret. They're sitting under their own, and this means they're evidently struggling. There is a lot of damage that comes out of Bang & Wolf on the Ezreal Nami combo. Their poke is legit, but that's simply because they're hitting all of their spells together. Whereas on the flip side, NL being under the turret is a really big hurting factor because Caitlyn's strength being laning is now lacking, and going towards a mid-game bridge, it gets even worse.
And right now, you see Faker Bengi trying to make a play on the bottom side of the map. This time, they're here right in time.
Nice ward there. Faker going to pop over the wall, and he's got ultimate at the ready. SwordArt slowed already by the T-Bone, and Faker's going to look to lock him up. Gets exhausted, but he's going to get the snare down. Bang comes in, and that's first blood for the Ezreal. Wave committed. Karsa trying to chase something back, but Wolf going to block the first one. Goes back in for it. Kicks one in, but it's not quite enough. Maple trying to take them out with the ultimate, but Bengi's going to re-engage for it. Faker now deep in the mix. Gets a double snare off. Doesn't have the ultimate committed already, and now Faker slammed into the wall. Gets taken down by NL.
Faker was a necessary sacrifice. He did everything he could to stay alive for as long as possible, but this is a really good counterplay from Flash Wolves to ensure that SKT's proactivity and making the right play does have an answer.
Yeah, it actually ends up being a 1-for-1 first blood going over to SKT, but it looks as though SKT actually blow more summoner spells in the overall trade. They blow their teleport. It's answered by a teleport from MMD, but then the flashes, all the summoner spells from SKT in the bottom side are down.
And the big thing here is the turret's still standing. Of course, it's going to still be there. And now completely stuck in the wrong area of the map is Faker. Bengi makes the conscious decision that they're not actually going to help anyway. And so MMD, not necessarily needing to use the ultimate, just had to get rid of the Heli Poppy channeling to do some damage.
Duke also committed his TP, but couldn't really make it into the fight, whereas MMD was able to slam Faker into the wall for a kill. So Duke is going to lose some of that split push advantage right now. Both top laners will be without TP for roughly the same amount of time. And you know, Duke still should win this lane. He's got the team and the Vampiric Scepter built up now. I mean, Poppy staying even on CS is very nice for MMD, given that they've both been left alone for a lot of this. Duke again is going back in for the trades, but MMD is like, eh.
Oh, blows the ultimate
Probably
as well.
not gonna kill me. In fact, he's going to go for it. Duke with a good bit of damage, but Poppy's just going to take it.
That's half his health. Maybe forces a recall. Not this time. However, the next time, there's always going to be dive threat from Bengi.
Exactly, and you know that he doesn't have teleport, and you're pulling pressure to the top side of the map. They see the Lee Sin, so bottom lane gets to push up, and Faker, he now has flash and ultimate again, so now he's just applying pressure
But he's just
to
here.
that bottom side.
Like, just being here, the presence that Faker actually has, being the Lissandra, has the ultimate. I can dive you. He didn't even use his flash, so it's enough to actually push them away from the turret. SwordArt's just trying his absolute hardest with the door to give them aggro so it doesn't go down as quickly.
Ooh, Karsa's actually here, but Faker barely misses out on a kick to the face. Bengi here, gonna clear out a wall.
Teleport
Diving
Faker.
again. Faker
Both
looking to make a
flashes,
play.
though.
It's a juicy looking double, but cancels the TP. They'll take the turret instead.
Exactly, still gets them off the turret, so the damage is done, and SKT get the first turret.
Ooh, Karsa looked for something there 3-on-3, but couldn't find it. And again, it's all this almost invisible pressure from SKT as they build things up, Faker not needing to use that teleport. And all of a sudden, SKT are up 2,000 gold.
And look what Faker does on this Lissandra. Shove the wave and immediately roam. Go somewhere else. Stop this Viktor from hanging out in the lane and going to the bottom side. And now Duke doesn't have ultimate, though.
It's
and
being
he's
counter ganked,
chased.
so Maple's definitely here. He's running the long way, but he wants Duke, and now Faker's out of
He
here.
already tanked the turret. He got ulted up as well. Maple just going to move in. That's a freebie for the Viktor.
Yep.
Faker has to try and recall, you'd imagine, because Karsa's also nearby. They may find him, but again, good moves from Flash Wolves. It wasn't just Faker going first. Maple stayed out of vision by just enough distance that they thought they were making the play, SKT, but they weren't.
He had Smite and didn't use it. Actually gives the red buff over to
Went to NL.
Yeah, Caitlyn, which is nice. SKT, nice little counterplay attempt. Trying to steal away the red buff with members of Flash Wolves top, but doesn't work out there for them. And again, for whatever reason, the Flash Wolves seem very on top of what SKT's plan is, despite a decent-looking early game for them.
Almost every time, too. Flash Wolves just seem to be able to answer SKT, the style that they play. They play very reserved early against their turret, and then Maple and Karsa are the ones who answer.
And honestly, like, Maple just KS that. Like, MMD did so much work. Duke stayed under the turret and got knocked into the wall when there were no minions. It was a bait, definitely, but it was a really lazy bait, because that's against Poppy 101. Don't stand next to the wall, or you'll die.
Yep. He died.
He stood next to the wall.
I mean, maybe he's learnt now.
Yeah, a lot
I
of
don't know how
people
long the course is.
It shouldn't be that long.
No, it really should.
It should just be 101.
Oh, it's been out for a while. Duke going to finish taking down this wave. He is building up towards that first major item as Faker getting sneaky in this bottom lane. I think he's actually the split pushing, so no lane pressure forthcoming. Looks like Bengi's going to rotate himself mid lane. He's got a Man Immune and a Sheen, so time to start poking down a different turret.
Exactly. Faker with the wave clear can go to the bottom side. Eventually, SKT can 1-3-1 with the double teleports, but now, because that bottom turret is down, Bang and Wolf don't really have too much to do on the bottom side of the map, and they, especially since they have the CS advantage, put yourself mid, force the Caitlyn and the Braum to actually start splitting up and possibly getting some kills, because do you think a Lissandra could kill a Caitlyn? Probably, at this point in the game. He doesn't have many items, though, is the issue. There isn't much AP backing this Lissandra.
Does have an Abyssal set for now, so
There you go.
going to be a bit better. The all-in pressure should be a little stronger. Does have cooldown boots now finished as well. Bang and Wolf, though, going to do what they can to keep the mid-outer turret alive for as long as possible, and Maple trying to bait Bengi in. Doesn't take it. Really wants the pink ward, though. Looks delicious. We'll take down that green ward, sorry.
Yeah.
Ooh, hello. I think you're getting a little cute there, but doesn't get punished by Karsa, just missing that resonating strike.
Yeah, Karsa just reveals himself this time around. SKT actually placing a lot more forward vision, trying to secure areas of the map, at least in the river. This will be a zone of their control. Perhaps the Drake is now where they go towards after placing all of this vision. They do have an Olaf that can chunk it down very quickly, and they're looking to utilize the Ezreal pushing mid wave to try and actually get control, keep Maple down, and then go to it.
See again, that pink ward, kind of want it to move out of the way, but not very safe to walk up onto that ridge, given that you cannot see behind it. SKT staying together though, certainly grouping like they want to take the Drake down. Maple though, plenty of wave clear, mid turret nice and healthy. Duke though doing work on the top side, could be an opening for them as far as pressure goes. Both top laners do have teleport, but Duke eventually should do good damage to this top side of the map.
Both are big item spikes as well, so having their first completed items, the Ravenous Hydra in particular for Duke, means that he's going to have consistent 1v1 sustain. Didn't go Tiamat into a tanky build, so he wants to stay here, wants to continue these trades, but MMD actually has a lot of relevance with teleports to get into team fights.
Oh, step on the shield? Nope.
He's baiting it.
Yep, baiting it, making sure that if he walks up, he gets it. Faker on the opposite side, though.
Oh, hello. SwordArt going to knock him up. Stun, not there. Nice little combo, but Lissandra, very slippery champion to try and kill.
Yeah, it was actually really close to getting the full combo off. If Faker got stunned, he was most likely going to die even through everything he has, because Caitlyn can place a trap on where he's stunned or knocked up, and it'd be enough follow-up damage to absolutely burst him out.
Yep, they're trying to actually just chunk him out here. He stepped on a trap, they got the headshot crit, and then also the ace in the hole to follow up. And the question is, does the Lissandra clear better than the Viktor? Well, the Viktor instantly clears the waves in mid, so Ezreal can't get pressure.
Lissandra still maxes her claw second, so has about 3 points in it now.
Yeah.
We'll be doing a lot of wave clear between that and the Q, so it's actually relatively even to that of the Viktor. It's more that Viktor's in a safer lane as it's so short. Like, Faker's at risk of being dove constantly if there's 3 there.
And when you're using your E as well, it is your escape. And the cooldown on it isn't actually
Are they teleporting
forgiving
in
at
for
the
this?
moment.
Something's happening by the looks of it.
It's a double TP from behind from SKT. They're going to try to make one of the first big plays of the game.
All right, looks like they're going to force, but Flash Wolves do
matched.
in defensively. Faker looking to go in. Doesn't quite move it. Goes in. Three-man stun. And the Bubble's going to nab 2 there as well. Faker takes out SwordArt as Anel's been exhausted. Still flashes out and kites his way back. Faker still moving out. Does not go down. And Bengi now going to surge forward. SKT, a beautifully orchestrated play. Find themselves with 2 kills.
Really well done from SKT.
Yeah, that was monstrous from SKT. The way they played that through Faker in particular is something that we have to highlight in the replay as well, because he looked like he was going to get locked down from all of the stuns, but altered himself in the middle of them actually hitting.
Yeah, went up, had the W hit multiple people. I believe it was a 3 or 4 man. We'll have to see it again here. As they all TP down, so it's a party in the bottom lane. SwordArt is still trying to deal with Bengi. Wolf
This here
throws it off. 3-man, ulti on himself, and that's right before MMD got the stun against the turret onto Faker, so he avoids that CC.
Exactly, as MMD comes in and uses the dash, wastes it effectively on him, the ultimate from Faker connects on 4 people as a result of it, and basically wins the entirety of that fight by himself.
They got a turret off it as well, so 2 turrets to 0, both of them in the bottom lane. There's a great gold lead here and objective lead for SKT as Flash Wolves still stuck in their lanes with no turrets to speak of. Drake has been largely ignored, unfortunately.
Well, it's a
this time
Cloud
around.
Drake.
What are you saying?
They don't really want the Cloud Drake right now. They'll take it if it's up, but
Next time.
SKT, they try to go for more roam plays. SKT are actually a team that usually will go for the vision first and then the pressure, as opposed to the opposite where they pressure first and then they get the vision. And that's why we've been seeing them like fight over wards that are in the back of the red buff while there's minion waves pushing mid, because they just highly value vision over everything else, and they haven't been able to get the vision to really do the Drake just yet.
It's actually still Flash Wolves' control of the river almost entirely at the moment, so you'd expect that if SKT look for it, it'll take them an awful long time to set up and get that down. I don't think it's a big priority for them at all, and I think Flash Wolves are placing vision strictly to watch SKT if they go towards it, and it should only really be done if it's free.
Well, again, they're going to sort of at least jockey around it. Maybe they can convince Flash Wolves to pick a fight that favors SKT. Important to note as well, Duke has a Shane and Nalarav's Hydra finished, and in general, the SKT item builds are quite aggressive here as they look for their next few items. Proto Belt's done for Faker with the Abyssal, and Bang is going Trinity Force, so they're looking for a big mid-game.
Yeah, and I think the idea is they wait until the Trinity Force is purchased from Bang, and he's super close to that in terms of gold, before SKT really commit to a fight. Still do objectives, still poke down turrets, but do not commit to killing Flash Wolves until he is at maximum power.
Exactly, and that is a gigantic spike for him. Tons of damage will be coming from him. But on the top side, Duke, you talk about the sheen that he has as well. He's just trying to bully. He's got, a cloth armor, a null magic mantle, and he has a sheen. So it's going to be a little bit of a while before he gets to a Trinity Force, but I feel like that buy is just there to give him some extra power in that one-on-one to try and win that matchup even harder.
And he's kind of carrying the CS away, although in general, CS has been very even. I say that as I look down a little more closely.
This is a LMS special. AHQ and Flash Wolves have both done this. When they feel like things are going bad in losing situations, they actually tend to be the ones to put the lane swaps into effect. Usually you'd see SKT winning and lane swap to get the next turret, but this progressive play is actually being halted by Flash Wolves' movements because it's sudden and it's usually a little bit random.
Duke actually enough to defend though. Maple trying to figure out what lane he should be in right now, but he's going to get pushed in by Faker.
Yeah, so Faker's going to force him to come to that middle lane because they actually made MMG go back down bottom to catch some extra farm and stay in tow with Duke. But now Faker actually ducks into Fog of War, so they don't know if he's completely roaming up top or not.
And he's using a lot of his mana simply to wave clear, so it's actually almost predictable that he's consistently going back to base. You can see that he has none left, and he doesn't have a mana regeneration item as he's gone for Proto Belt after the Abyssal Scepter. I feel like Flash Wolves could work around knowing that he's in base, and they also should have known his teleport timer. However, that is now back available, and there's a big threat for the LMS team.
And now he's back pushing the mid lane. I mean, Maple's got a huge amount of CS, actually up pretty significantly on minions next to Faker, but Faker's been roaming around making a lot of plays. Bang has now finished that Trinity Force. Could be go time for SK Telecom.
Flash was at the same time, though. It's the final upgraded Hex Core for Maple and the Rylai's Crystal Scepter, so he has also hit a large power spike for himself at around the same time that Bang and Faker both have. So this next fight is still very dependent on how it is played out. It's a 4,000 gold lead for SKT, but when you have a Trundle that's slightly ahead of the Poppy, how effective is that really in these fights when the Poppy has this immense CC? It comes down to the execution.
Problems could be, of course, for NL, though. A few headshots there. He's working on his second item, and Bang now finished his. So definitely a timing for SK Telecom to hit, and looks like Bang's trying to knock down this top outer.
Yeah, and whilst Maple does have big item spikes, and he's got his 2, we're still waiting on NL to actually hit his stride with those 2 items. So the difference between both of these teams lies in the AD carries. It shouldn't be too far away, but for this exact moment, SKT have control of the map because Bengi will not take damage from NL whatsoever. He has his armor, NL doesn't have his items.
Yeah, jerk move from Duke, taking a red buff. Now gonna smack MMD with it. He's actually transferred to bottom lane. Faker goes in with a proto belt top side. Nami Web's gonna find out now, and Bengi's just straight in there to the back line. He's ripping them apart, and Faker moves forward. Bang, and he'll clean up as Maple's trying to get him back, but a double for Bang as Faker gets himself stunned and finally goes down. But they will keep chasing. Duke's TP in as well.
So large.
And Bengi's just not stopping at all. Duke flashes forward for the auto to get it. MMD, he's a little too late as Karsa gets shredded down by the Trundle. He's gonna go down, and MMD, they're just diving it all. They're gonna look for the Poppy. Heroic charges out from under the turret, gonna try and stay here. And SKT say, okay, that's a little too much, but yeah, we got 4 kills.
Bengi's an absolute monster. He just rips through that entire fight. 0-0-7 for himself afterwards because he's doing work right now. 100% KP.
Yeah, I'm glad we just said it. Bengi's not going to die to NL, and NL without item spikes is basically irrelevant. Olaf just walks at him, and Caitlyn has to watch himself just slowly die to the axes being thrown at him.
And Olaf seems like a pick that Korea has recently picked up. We saw Samsung also play it, and Bengi adopting it as well because it's just so aggressive early. You can see the ghost pop. He knows who his target is, throws the axe way in front of him to just have it train down, and then picks up NL. SwordArt is also in there. And then the best part too is he's not even getting the kills. He's getting the assists on these.
The way it should be going. Maple did do a lot of work, at least on the back end, to ensure Faker dies. MMD, as we mentioned, way too late to actually get here. The damage was already done from Duke and all of SKT. He does well to live, but living's not what he needs to do in these fights.
Poor Karsa dies to his own red buff as Duke dives him under the tier 2 turret. SK Telecom now up about 6,500 gold, looking to maybe take over that barren section of the map, or maybe the Ocean Drake that's spawning in a minute 25. They do have a mid lane outer turret to contend with. Maple is doing a very good job keeping that one nice and healthy, but the rest of the map's looking a little bleak for the Flash Wolves. SKT may be poised to beat them for the first time ever.
You know SKT want that. SKT don't actually want more and more blemishes to their record because it has been a season for them that they haven't made the finals. They've made Worlds, and they've looked kind of weak towards the end. But SKT, their all-time group stage record is 17-2, and one of those losses is to Flash Wolves. They don't want another loss there. They want that to be 18-2 by the end of the day and keep that as a 90% win rate in groups.
And don't forget, this may be a glorious victory for all of Korea if SKT can take them out, but Cloud9's also wanting the exact same thing, as is all of NA.
They can maybe a little caught, but doesn't get stunned up there by the Braum passive. They're kind of forcing onto this turret, but Maple again and his trusty laser beam just making this tricky. It's not impossible, just going to take a lot of repetitions.
It is a red buff Ezreal who is hitting every single skill shot also, and SKT are using mid as a pivot point to invade, place deeper vision, and actually set up for not necessarily the Baron. They don't want that. Right now it seems to be the Ocean Drake and the mid turret.
Turns out being pretty good on Ezreal as Duke. Oh, look at this. SK Telecom, all of a sudden, they've got 3 waves pushing. Pressure everywhere, and Duke's pretty much free to take a turret as Faker runs back towards mid, just in case anybody comes out. Viktor goes top, that means mid should be wide open.
Yep, Iceborne Gauntlet completed as well, so Duke definitely does a lot of damage to those turrets. And Bang knows that the Viktor went topside, so immediately tries to clear off his minion wave quickly. As long as you can run this Viktor around, he's a main source of wave clear.
But he's back. Here we go.
Yep.
Oh no.
Throws out the E.
Minion waves.
Karsa helps for some reason. Bengi though going to take the Ocean Drake, and SKT will just fall back on the objective that at this point is wide open and there's for the taking. Bengi going to do just that. Chops up another beastie. And going to move himself into that mid lane as Faker's gone back, and now has a Zhonya's Hourglass. Blade of the Ruin King also done for Bang, so if we're worried about the potential item spikes and playmaking potential, they've all of a sudden got another huge wave of power.
Yeah, and that's max cooldown reduction for Faker. So all the CDR items and Boots of Lucidity to round himself out. Also has reduced summoner spell cooldowns by having Boots of Lucidity. Actually quite a core item on Lissandra. So he's pretty much at maximum power. They've got the Ezreal, which is absolutely popping off with the Blade. So everyone dies if they get into the face of either of the carries of SKT. And that's not even mentioning Duke and Bengi.
Yeah, Bang has had that Muramana for a good while now, having it transform, and he's 2,500 gold above NL, almost a full item up. It's absolutely ridiculous how much Bang has been given.
I don't think so. I was just thinking the same thing.
God.
Caster Curse.
What you've done.
Caster Curse.
Nailed it.
Well, Bang gonna get slowed up a bit. Maple is quite strong still. But Duke is just gonna clear out this ward, get some vision down for his team.
And red buff, probably.
He's back to bottom side. Oh, that's right. His favorite buff.
The great thing is about watching Duke go after a bush is he walks towards it, then he jukes backwards, then he walks forward and puts the ward into it. It's just in case. If there's somebody in there, Lee Sin Q can come out, you don't know.
Well, that's cute.
Ah, nice.
Nice assist there from Bengi. Donates the buff over to Bang, and Maple's like, why does he also have red buff?
Well, it's also great because this is something that SKT used to do when it was Bengi and then Faker would play Ezreal mid. He would hold the blue buff for him, and then he would just throw the ultimate out from there. So definitely not unfamiliar with that strategy.
It still feels like SKT's best resolve to actually breaking this middle lane turret is using Bengi as a threat to potentially dive, just to force the Viktor away. They need to get him off this turret or it'll never go down.
Yeah.
Oh, Faker on NL.
They're actually splitting up a bit. NL, right, the QS has to try and save himself, but Faker doing a lot of damage. Gonna come in for the kill. Very stylish Q, but I think he's dead.
Trying to buy time.
All right, it's just NL that gets credit for it, so no extra assist gold.
He probably could have kept walking away and actually given the kill to the Braum if he survived, turned around to throw the Q. Potentially the difference there, but well done to Faker. Breaks the map open. You can see the mid lane turret falls as a result of this pressure he's caused.
And it's another win there for SKT. More than
Wow, big dive there. Duke just blows one up. And now SKT are going to surge forward and destroy this poor tier 2 turret. Flash was, it seems that they were holding on, but this game is spiraling out of control.
SKT, they definitely want to win this and take down the Korean killers.
Moving to the Baron now.
Yeah, it's kind of a cutthroat move here. They've gotten so many summoner spells out of them. Faker didn't even have to blow a flash previously. He got both summoners out of NL. Maple,
well,
both summoners out of him.
You can see the Cloud9 team waiting to see the result of this game. They're going to be happy about the Baron take. And SwordArt's going to go down there as well. Jensen's going to get the crowd away, but SKT are going to take it all almost here. MMD, slowed up by Anak, is going to kick one out with the Keeper's Verdict, but that's a melted AD carry. 3 dead already. And back to Baron.
Yep, straight back to what worked for them and baited the fight in the first place. NL's life is honestly miserable right now because Faker is dismantling him piece by piece, and SKT doing the exact same thing to Flash Wolves. They need a miracle from Karsa.
Here comes Karsa. MMD's there as well. He's going to hop around an SKT. They say, nope, don't give them the chance. Make sure he's zoned away. Faker's going to move up to check. They are back on the Baron. Bengi and Duke are very tanky. But Faker's going to try and lock him down. He doesn't commit to the claw. And Karsa can still steal this.
Yeah, watch SKT and see if they commit.
Claw Maple, big damage as well. Karsa's in. Is he going to try and steal it down? Faker's taking out Maple. Now Karsa's caught out.
He got it.
Oh my God, he stole the Baron. MMD's going to fall down. He'll lose his GA. But Bengi's going to fall on the other side as well. And Flash Rules hold on as MMD in the pit's going to fight his way out to his death.
To tarnish a perfect record, to be honest, I'm actually going to blame Bang for that because he used his ultimate at the same time as Karsa's resonating strike. And if he was doing it in an attempt to steal it from Karsa, that's a mistake because you need to trust in Bengi's smite. He actually gives him the Baron steal. That was not something you want to see, and that taints the perfect game from SKT.
This is also interesting because you can see they're not actually clearing the wards inside of the pit. There's 2 right there. They see them with the sweeper. All the damage is focused onto the Baron. They don't clear that other one on the right. No auto attacks going into it.
You have to highlight Bang here. This is such an unfortunate move. Yep. He goes for Karsa and then uses his ult as like a last resort. I'm going to help you smite now. But he already had the resonating strike on.
Yeah, that went down from 1,000. Immediately resonating strike after the Sonic Wave. And yeah.
And it hurts. Cloud9 know that if SKT win, they get a bit of a free pass in.
And then they have to get... And if SKT lose, they have to get back on the stage and play against the Flash Wolves that just beat SKT.
In a game where SKT are 10,000 gold up.
Yes.
That is not a Flash Wolves I don't think I want to play. When I talk about momentum for a team, that will be quite a windfall. But SK Telecom, despite the hiccup, are still in control. You said it for Rusty. It was a perfect game. It is now blemished somewhat, but they are certainly firmly in control. And Faker and proto-belting over people's faces and blowing them up. This is where Lissandra just gets awful to play against.
And Baron or not, they're just going back to the basics. They're going to continue split pushing with Duke. They've got Bang in the mid lane, where he's constantly pressuring and doing a lot of damage to people. I think he's probably just above and beyond everyone in the game right now in the way of damage. Faker also sitting bottom, being a present threat of assassinating whoever goes there, because Maple has to stay mid and wave clear. If he doesn't, whoever is there loses those objectives, and it's always NL going to Faker and dying to Faker.
Why does Faker do so much damage? He's got a death cap now. Bang is not died. He's got himself 4 damage items and a QSS. And Duke is a beast.
And the thing is, Faker's just going to single out NL almost every time. Even with the QSS, it's still the damage.
Ooh,
oh, God!
Actually do blow him up. Misstep again, but Duke's in the back onto Maple. That's frustrating. MMD going to try and keep him out, but the rest of SKT are going to surge forward. Duke almost unkillable as he runs straight through the backline. MMD does go down. Bang somehow hits that last skill shot. Faker does go down, but it's still 4v4.
Yeah, and this may be the 4v4. MMD not being there's actually a big tanky member missing, and Maple has to go back to base, and he's walking. So this wave, really good opportunity for SKT.
Karsa looked for something, doesn't have ultimate though. Good wave clear though from NL, and the rest of Flash Wolves without Maple to try and make sure the wave stays down. So no inhibitors exposed yet for them. SKT still have some work to do.
Yep, probably pick up the Ocean Drake here. Get themselves a little bit more regen. We'll wait for Faker to come back up. His teleport's almost up as well, and then they can start the split push again, the 1-3-1. But SKT just have so much of an advantage that they could brute force down objectives. Didn't have the vision. That's what I was saying before, is they actually go for vision first and then pressure. And that's why you can see like the bottom wave right now, not pushed out from SKT. They value that vision so highly that that's the first step for them. And then they all collapse for a fight that they trade. And they get a little bit of revenge there.
Duke has ult. He's probably able to fight them.
He's going to run away for now. Does he get away safely though? Ryla's going to force a flash after Maple commits the ultimate. And he'll walk away. Wolf's coming up as well, just for the assist. And SKT are busy taking something bottom side. Good commit from Maple and Karsa to try and take something down, but SK Telecom always have a cross map ready.
Yeah, of course, having the Ryla's Crystal Scepter meant they were able to potentially get Duke down. Does get rid of his flash, so the kill threat on NL and Maple is a little bit less than it otherwise would be. However, Duke is just going to be a walking pillar bot, and if it ever hits and he's on flanks to do these, then people go down.
And here we go, teleport back up for Faker. So now the 1-3-1 will most likely come in for the squad as they try to force down these turrets.
A little too much. Would have loved to have a Baron buff. Probably would have made it quite a bit cleaner. Flash Rolls do deny them that objective. All the Dragons up as well as the next one. So if we do get the game to that late stage, SKT also have that objective to play with. For now though, it is just some trial lane pressure. Bengi's actually going back. Might have an item to finish here.
I mean, like, you can just see that they are playing such clinical and decisive League of Legends. Faker being on the top side of the map to split push, opposed to the bottom side, is actually an active decision because the enemy blue buff is about to be up and they want to have the Lissandra over there to receive that. That's the 15% AP bonus. It's also going to be the mana regeneration.
Oh, they got Maple! That's huge.
That's almost a solo kill. Bit of an assist there from Wolf. But Bang somehow takes out the wave clear. And all of a sudden, the base looks very, very vulnerable.
The walls start to come tumbling down, it feels like, for Flash Wolves. This is a lot of pressure that's now able to mount against the LMS region. The last bastion of hope, honestly, for the entirety of that region.
And don't forget, of course, the hope for North America is SK Telecom. They would love to win here, just to prove that they can. It's never happened before. And SKT are very close to shutting down the Flash Wolves and ending their world's run. Faker goes in, gets kicked out by Karsa. MMD misses his ultimate as SKT break through the midsection.
Without Maple, there's no wave clear here to really get rid of all these minions. And SKT, they're going to take that inhib.
Such a simple execute, honestly, on the inhib going down. Also, we do get to see how Bang goes down.
Yeah.
Oh, Bang kills, rather.
Yeah, Bang barely takes any damage too, and that's a Viktor. We have seen Viktors blow up AD carries all throughout Worlds, but the fact is Bang is so far ahead right now. Level 17 to NL's level 15. He has so much farm and almost is flame horizoning the enemy AD carry. So Bang is just having a fantastic Worlds all around.
I take it back. Wolf didn't do anything in that 1v1.
No, he gave him the E. That's it.
True. A bit of extra damage. So Bang, I don't think he needed it, certainly. He is actually done.
That's what I got
as far as item builds go at 38 minutes. Caitlyn is at 3.
Duke's also got the Guardian Angel completed, and in terms of killing the Trundle, that's not impossible. I think it's going to take all 5 of them, and quite a significant amount of time for all 5 of them at this stage.
Especially since he's probably going to be ulting the Poppy and taking some of her resistance simultaneously, it becomes so hard to actually take down Duke.
Well, Bang is going to pressure because he's shown right now that he can 1v1 pretty much everyone.
Yep. And then Baron on the table right now. Faker backs. Full items for Faker. 38 minutes into the game.
It's pretty absurd that both the carries are already fully stocked. Baron's back alive as well, so SKT are going to play to the smart objective.
And that is the thing. Baron's actually super important for SKT. You'd wager the last Baron would have been GG, but they need that to get through the wave clear that the Viktor has, to give Trundle the extras to push in past the Poppy.
Ooh,
and it's basically theirs.
Locked up. Faker actually gets kicked back in, but a great way from Nami keeps him out. And SK Telecom secure the Baron. Bang rips SwordArt to pieces as Bengi's going to surge forward, pops around to it. Ulti from Ezreal's almost enough, and here comes a TP. SwordArt going to get cut off here. Faker goes in, pops his on, he's on top of the gravity field, and SK Telecom might finally topple the Flash Wolves. Karsa.
Oh, he goes on the NL.
Locked up next as Faker destroys NL on the side of Maple. He doesn't know what to do. He kills Faker, but Bang blows him up as well.
Bang's an absolute monster. This should be game for SKT.
And that'll be SKT taking down the Flash Wolves, first time ever, and locking in a spot for North America. They can take this.
They slay the Korean Slayers, perhaps. They've still got a bit of work to do. Bengi tanking on the front line. SwordArt's getting chopped up. Bang goes legendary as MMD. Barely flashes out of that mystic shot. Duke is going to flash forward. He wants the ace, but he will not get it. But SK Telecom will secure first, will show themselves moving into Chicago, and push Cloud9 through to the quarterfinals.
Incredible performance from Bang and all of SKT. Super refined, super efficient, measured, and controlled play from the Koreans. They break the curse.
And a sigh of relief for North America as SKT punch Cloud9's ticket to Chicago, and the worrying trend is over.
Maybe. We'll have to see. As SK Telecom will move over, shake hands with opponents that until today they had never toppled. The Flash Wolves, unfortunately for them, will join IMA as the two teams not to make it out, but what a performance from the defending champions, and Bang in particular. Every time he gets Ezreal, I wonder why, and maybe I think he shouldn't have got it, and then he kills everyone.
He is a ridiculous.
He is an absurdly good Ezreal.
And you have to think as well that Flash Wolves, they were actually sitting in a pretty good spot. They had to play Aimee at the start of the day with a substitution, and they were caught completely off guard by Aimee's pick and ban, their substitution, and then the role swap on top of it, and that really hamstrung Flash Wolves in the standings.
I mean, what a ridiculous day we've had. SK Telecom, okay, they won a lot. That's kind of what we expected. Undefeated on the day 3-0. Congratulations to you guys for such a great showing. Everything else was a little crazy. Aimee with the upset, with Road being suspended for a game, eventually gave Cloud9 the win here and pushed them to the second seed. It also gave Aimee a chance to actually make it to quarters, where they couldn't quite beat Cloud9 in a 52-minute game or something. Like, Worlds has been crazy all throughout groups. This day may have been the craziest, and what a fitting way to end our group stage.
Absolutely, but SKT, that's the thing. 3-0 moving into the quarters, look very strong right now. Regardless of if they're running Bengi or Blank, they both seem to have some good strengths. Maybe it's the junglers in the group not being up to snuff against them, but that's 3 Korean teams being number one in each of their groups. So that's very scary as a prospect moving forward.
Yeah, and NA also getting the free victory through. Thank you to SKT there.
Well, certainly thanks for them. But we are going to go over to the analyst test to break down that SK Telecom victory.